So we're going to take a look at the Unit 6, Day 4 homework to practice what we just talked about in our previous videos about transformations of parabolas and about the features of parabolas. So let's take a look, and we're going to do a few of these questions, not all of them. State the coordinates of the vertex for each of the following quadratics. So remember, vertex is the tip of our parabola, and that's going to depend on how far we've moved our graph left and right and up and down. So let's take a look. Right here, I see a +3. That means that that's our h value. So h value is always the one that's inside the brackets with the x. So y equals a x minus h squared plus k. And remember, h has that negative sign, so it always acts opposite of what we expect. So because we see a +3 here, that means we've moved to the left. Or in other words, what number did we subtract to get +3? We subtract -3. So we've moved to the left. So my vertex is going to be at -3, -1. And if you have Desmos open, you can quickly check and verify that the vertex is in the right spot. So I can't switch back and forth with this software between my webcam and Desmos, but if you want to open Desmos and plug in this equation, you'll see that the vertex is indeed at -3 and -1. Let's do a couple more. Question B, y equals 2, bracket x plus 8 squared plus 9. Always the opposite of what we see in the brackets. I see a +8 here. That means my vertex is at -8, and the k value just works like normal, so to speak. So I see a +9 here. I write a +9 here. And again, question C, I see a +5. So my vertex is at -5 and +5. Question D, I see a -3. That means my vertex has been moved to the right. So I write a +3. K value stays the same, 12. Question E, I see -2 bracket x minus 1. So I've moved to the right. So I write the +1, -4, and y equals x squared minus 10. We're missing something here. I have a k value. I don't have an h value. Let's rewrite this another way. If I wrote y equals bracket x minus 0 squared minus 10, that would be the same thing. In other words, our h value is 0. We have not moved the parabola left or right. We've only moved it down 10. If I were to sketch a very quick graph, original parabola is here, unchanged. We now add the -10, so the whole thing just got shifted down. So my vertex is at -10. So x value of my vertex is 0. It's still on the y-axis, but the y value is -10. Question 2 says, for each of the quadratics in question 1, determine if the quadratic opens up or down. So remember, it opens up when a is positive. I don't want to positive. That's my short form for positive, just a plus and a VE. And it opens down when a is negative. So let's take a look at our a values. Direction of opening. I don't see an a value here. That's because my a value is +1, and it just means we're going to multiply everything by 1. So we don't need to write that. When I don't see a number, there's an invisible +1. Invisible +1 means a is positive, and when it's positive, the direction of opening is up. B, my a value is +2, opens up. C, my a value is -1. Negative means it opens down. A value is 3, that's a positive number, so it opens up. A value is -2, it's negative, so it opens down. And I don't have an a value listed here, so once again, it's just a +1. Positive means it opens up. All right, let's take a look at question 3. Use the correct step pattern to graph the following quadratics on the given axis. For each quadratic, include the vertex plus 3 points to the left and to the right. So for each of these, I want to figure out what is my vertex, just like we just practiced, and what is my step pattern. Remember, the step pattern goes 1a, 3a, 5a, 7a. So it's just odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, and then I multiply them all by the a value. So what's our a value here for a? I don't see an a value given, so it's just going to be 1. So let's write our step pattern right away. It's our 1, 3, 5, 7 with no changes because we're just multiplying by 1. So my step pattern is going to be 1, 3, 5, 7. What is my vertex for A? Well, I see a minus 11 here. So I have a horizontal shift of 11 units to the right. So my vertex, remember, we write the opposite number. I see negative 11 here. Vertex is at positive 11. And plus 5, vertex is at plus 5. All right, let's sketch that on our graph. I'm just going to pause while I add the x and y axis, and then we'll go ahead and put our numbers in. All right, I've sketched my coordinate axes here, my x and y plane, and I've added some numbers. I didn't use too many numbers just because our graph is going to get cluttered, but I still labeled in a consistent manner so we can still figure out where we're going. All right, let's take a look. We said our vertex is at, I already didn't make this big enough, but our vertex is at 11, 5. So we're going to go 11 units to the right, so off the edge of our graph and up 5. So we're going up 10 here, so 2, 4, 6, halfway in between is here. That's our vertex. So we're at 11, 5. You should scale your graph to make this fit properly. For the sake of time, I'm not going to redo it, but that best graphing practice would be to redo it and make our graph a little bigger. We're going to keep going though. Let's take a look at our step pattern. My first step has a size of 1. So I'm going to go over 1, and I'm going to go up 1. And you don't need to draw the step on your graph. You can use pencil and just erase it later. I'll do that as well, actually. Because that's just part of your calculation work. It's not part of the actual final graph. The final curve, we just want to show our nice smooth parabola. The step pattern is just to help us find the points that we need. All right, so we did step 1. Our next step is 3. 1, 3, 5, 7, 3. So I'm going to go over 1, and I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And our next step is 5. So I'm going to go over 1 and go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my next step is 7. So we're going to go over 1 and go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll connect our dots smoothly. One trick I do for my vertex to make my graph look good is I start with a horizontal line right at my vertex because the shape is technically flat just for a moment there. So I start with that horizontal line, and then I try to kind of extend that and make the curve that way. And there we go. That is our graph A. Let's try another one that fits on the graph a little bit better. Let's take a look at B. So this was A. Let's take a look at B. What is the vertex going to be for B? I see a negative 4 here. So my vertex is going to be at positive 4. Remember, for the horizontal, I do the opposite. And my K value is negative 4. So I've gone down 4. Our step pattern. Our A value is 2. So my first value is 1 times 2. So 2. And then 3 times 2 is 6. And then 5 times 2 is 10. 7 times 2 is 14. All right, that's all the information we need to make our graph. Let's take a look. A vertex is at x equals 4 and y equals 4. And just remember, I'm going up by 2's here. So each box represents 2. So if I need to go up by 1, that's why I only go up by half a box. We have a vertex. It opens up, so my graph's going to look something like this. Let's do our steps. First step is 2. So I'm going to go over 1 and up 2. And I'm going to work in both directions. So I'm going to go back 1 and up 2. Basically, I'm doing the step pattern in either direction. You can do all of one half and then all of the next half, or you can do left and right at the same time, whatever works for you. Just remember, step pattern works this way. It also works this way. My next step is 6. So I'm going to go over 1 and up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just make sure I counted that. Over 1, up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next step is 10. I'm going to go over 1 and up 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And once again, I'm going off the edge of my graph. I should have made it a little bit bigger. Now let's go back here and get our missing steps. So I went over 1, up 2, over 1, up 6, and over 1, up 10. And you can either redraw the step pattern if you want, or because you know it's a mirror image, you can just look and say, where are the points? What do I need to do to make it be a complete curve? Now let's connect our dots, draw that little horizontal line at the bottom, and then smoothly connect. And smoothly connect. And that's our curve for B. Let's jump ahead and let's do D. All right, where's my vertex for D? Once again, we're going to go off the edge of our graph. I'm just going to make up another example that fits well on here. Y equals negative 2x plus 1 minus 3. All right, let's do my example. So I realize I'm not helping you with these, but it's the same method every time. And this will help us illustrate and fit on our graph well. So let's take a look. What's my vertex? Look at my H value. I see a positive 1. So I write a negative 1 because it always does the opposite. The K value does the way we expect it. It works normally. So minus 3 and minus 3. And what's my step pattern? I'm going to multiply everything by the negative 2. So 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, and so on. Because remember, when I have a negative in front, it flips my parabola. It makes it open downward. And so when I multiply the negative into the step pattern, that includes that reflection over the x-axis. Let's plot our points. Our vertex is at negative 1. So x is negative 1, y is negative 3. That's our vertex. And let's do our steps. So first step is negative 2, so over 1 and down 2. Next step is negative 6, so over 1 and down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then over 1 and down 10. Over 1 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And go back the other way. Over 1 and down 2. Over 1 and down 6. Over 1 and down 10. Let's connect everything with a nice smooth curve. Draw a little horizontal line at the vertex. You don't technically have to. I just find personally it helps me make my curves have a little bit more correct shape. And this is our bonus curve. And there we go. So that is how you use the vertex and the step pattern to quickly create the graph that represents the relationship of your equation. So I recommend either watch the video and then work through the questions, or if you've already done the questions, go back and compare your answers.